Hey, what's up, guys? G5 Cosmos here for Game 5 Smash once again. And with the impending Nintendo Direct that is coming out tomorrow, September 13th, there's been a lot of talk about Smash for Switch. And there's been a lot of talk about that for a while. So I wanted to take the time to make this video talking about my own personal predictions for anything to do with a Smash game on the Nintendo Switch console. First and foremost, I do not think we're going to hear anything about it tomorrow, whether it's happening or not, which I'll get to my opinions on. The Direct tomorrow specifically states that it's going to be games that are coming out over the next few months, and a game like Smash, even if it's a port, which again I'll get to my perspective on, is something that they usually have a lot of time to build up. So a couple months doesn't sound right. That being said, the Direct is on September 13th, which is also the original Japanese release date of Smash 4 for the 3DS, so it's a little bit, like, it could happen, and I would love it if it did, but I don't expect it tomorrow. But this is just something that I've thought about for a while. I have a lot of predictions and ideas for what's going to happen with Smash for Switch and how it'll affect the competitive community. So I wanted to talk about it regardless, and I felt like this was a good opportunity. So you'll see me looking down a couple times because I have some notes on my phone that I'm going to talk about. So basically, the first thing that everyone's asking, or the first question we would address in this scenario is, will it happen? Will there be a Smash game on the Nintendo Switch? And I don't think you need to be Nostradamus to tell that the answer is obviously yes, definitely. We're going to have Smash on the Switch. Smash is a huge franchise. It's an extremely well-selling game. Just put Smash in the title and have it made by Nintendo, and tons of people will buy it. And, it's going to be a great game, regardless of what it is. But also, Reggie said that he wanted to have every major Nintendo franchise on every console, on every Nintendo console, when he was asked about Smash. And I think maybe Metroid was also in that question. But he basically implied, they're not going to have a mainline Nintendo console without having a Smash game on it. We can definitely expect it to happen. I've heard some people saying, like, well, if we were going to get a Smash on the Switch, it would have been announced already. We're definitely not going to have it. But the Switch has not even been out a year. I believe that the Wii U was out for a year before Smash came out on it. It might have been announced sooner than that. I don't remember exactly. I'm not too concerned. But, there's plenty of time left for them to announce it. And also, there are a lot of other games that are coming out on the Switch that they don't want to overshadow by announcing Smash too soon, because Smash is so huge. It has such a huge fan base, and then even casual and like hardcore alike for Smash is just huge. And especially since, again, Smash might be a port, as I'm going to get to in the next question topic, there are a lot of other ports that are less popular, like Pokken and not Splatoon, Pokken and Mario Kart 8. That Mario Kart 8's already around, but still we're waiting on Pokken. Basically, it's another fighting game port, and they don't want to take away the attention of that, because think of how little we would be excited for Pokken if Smash was already announced. I mean, the Pokken fan base still would be, but yeah. So it's definitely coming. I would honestly bet money on that. You can expect the Smash game on the Switch, hopefully soon. I'm not sure how long it's going to be. We might not hear about it until next E3. Maybe longer, probably not. Maybe sooner. Don't know, but it's definitely going to happen. So anyway, that brings us to the next question. New game or port? So are we going to have Smash 5? Is it going to be a completely new game with a new physics, new mechanics, essentially new character roster, even though the character rosters are, generally similar anyway? Or is it going to be, a port? Is it going to be the Smash 4 that we already have, but Smash 4 Switch instead of Wii U or 3DS? Or is it going to be Melee HD? Probably not. Melee HD, I put that in here because I wanted to address that. A lot of people are thinking, that's going to be... Whatever happens with, the Smash game on the Switch, this has nothing to do with Melee HD. Melee HD... Well, if there's a Melee on the Switch, it'll probably just be, a GameCube port, like a GameCube Virtual Console, because they've discussed doing GameCube games on the Virtual Console on the Switch. So Melee HD, it'd be lovely if it happened at some point, but that's separate. That's not the Smash game. That's not Smash for Switch, So, okay. My opinion, or my prediction, I guess, is that it will definitely be a port. There's usually like 7 to 8 years in between Smash games, and Smash 4 has only been out for like, what, 3 years or so? Not even, I think. Or maybe more. I don't know. It's like around 3 years. I didn't do the math before this. I'm lazy. Yeah, it's definitely, especially with like the depth of Smash 4 and how much work it took Sakurai to make that game, there's no way we're getting a brand new Smash game unless it's super later on the Switch, which I also doubt. I don't think they would wait that long for such a big game like that, especially since they really want to sell the Switch. But it just makes a lot of sense for it to be a port. If you look at, like I mentioned earlier, Mario Kart 8 and Pokken, we also have these other games from the Wii U that were like, popular games that they wanted to like represent the console well. But since the Wii U was such a crappy console, the games didn't really get their chance to shine as much as they could have. So now with the Switch, these games have been ported, and Smash is, a perfect example of that. It's probably the best game on the Wii U, arguably, and it's definitely a reason to buy a Wii U. Like if you have a Wii U, there's a good chance it's for Smash, especially if you're watching this video. So it makes so much sense for it to be ported to the Switch. Sakurai also, I think he said like this Smash was the last game he's making, but I've heard he said that like times in the past, so I don't know. But he definitely seemed like he was, physically and mentally exhausted from this game. And he did so much that this game is it's still so young. Like even if you're not looking at it from the competitive perspective, like there's just so much in the game. There are so many characters, so much to do. Like there's no reason for it to, not like have a lifespan that can be brought to a new console. And not to mention, if it is, ported onto the Switch, it doesn't mean it's just going to be the exact same game we already have. There can be new content, like characters, stages, and stuff like that, and patches as well, which is a little spooky, and I'm going to get to in the next topic. But yeah, like there's definitely stuff to keep the game fresh, even with it being a port. But the game itself is really, it hasn't aged a bit, I think. Like, again, not even factoring in the competitive meta, which is, of course, a huge deal if you're watching this as a competitive player. You know that the metagame is always growing and that there's still so much time for, people. Like, if you think about what you think tournaments are going to look like in a couple of years, if you have, like, legitimate perspective on the game, you know that it's going to be a different-looking game in tournaments, as it already is different from when it first came out. So then that leads right into the next point, which is what's going to be new. If we're going by my prediction that it is a port, I'm very confident that it will be a port of Smash 4. In fact, like even the title perfectly lends itself to that. Like Smash 4 is not actually called Smash 4, it's called Smash 4, F-O-R. Smash 4 3DS, Smash 4 Wii U, which lends itself perfectly to be just Smash for Switch. Smash 4 Switch, but without actually really changing the title except for the console that it's for, as the other titles, work that way. So what's going to be new if we get it? If we get the Smash port, is it just going to be the same game? As I said, very unlikely. The obvious thing is that we can get new characters, new stages. It's very, very likely that's going to happen because those are just, obvious, strong things to add to the game. And they're going to, help make that a selling point for the game and also the console because, people will want to get it. For people who have already bought the game to want to buy it again, they get something new. In addition to people who have not bought the game, they're going to be like, okay, well, now I definitely need to get Smash if they weren't already sold because new characters, I think, more of a selling point than stages, but stages are also a big deal. And let's see what else we got. Yeah, and they also did that with other ports, like the Mario Kart 8 port. They added, I believe they added new characters. Maybe I don't know if they added new characters. I know they added. Actually, I'm not sure what they added, but they added a battle mode. They added new stuff. Like they added new stuff is basically what I'm saying. So it's likely that they'll do that. I believe Pokken also they've announced like there's a new character coming to it. I think I don't follow it too much, but I think there's a new Pokemon in it that's not on the Wii U version of Pokken. Another thing that I think is likely to happen is that they will include all of the current DLC, like packed right into the game. So Smash for Switch will already have Cloud, Bayonetta, Corrin, Dreamland, all the stuff that the Wii U people would pay for with DLC would just be part of the game to begin with. That I believe I'm actually almost positive they did that with Mario Kart 8, where they just had all the Mario Kart 8 Wii U DLC just right from the get go when you bought Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So yeah, I mean that's I would hope they would do that. Like charging you for the same DLC again would be really lame. Not to mention like that's what's become part of the game. Like you expect when you see Smash for Wii U to see those DLC characters at least. So it'd be weird to like try selling the game without that. Like is this even the game? I pretty much they're definitely going to do that. Include the characters and hopefully all previous DLC like Mii costumes and stuff. Personally, I never purchased that stuff because I don't care about it. But like being able to buy the game and have that in it would be great. It's the complete game that I essentially never had. So another interesting thing is that they might bring over some of the 3DS stages to the Smash for Switch. I've heard a lot of people conjecture about this, that they might have a combination, since like Smash for Wii U and Smash for 3DS have the exact same character roster, but they have different stages for the most part, with only a few stages that they share. So it'd be really cool if they brought over all of the 3DS stages onto the Smash for Switch game, because none of those stages, there's so many unique stages that we don't have on the Wii U that would work perfectly in that setting. Of course, that's a big undertaking. They might not do all the stages, especially since a lot of the stages like correspond to 3DS games anyway, and the graphic transition might not even be like the most natural thing. But it would be really cool if they at least brought some of the stages. From the competitive perspective, it would be really, really great if we had Yoshi's Brawl, Yoshi's Island, I think it's called, or isn't it called Yoshi's Island? Whatever it is, the stage with the single tilting platform and the support ghost, you know what I'm talking about. Because that's a competitively viable stage. It was legal all throughout Brawl, and it's a bit unique as far as what we have in our current rule set. Granted, it might be pretty good for characters like Cloud and stuff, but it would still be a really unique stage, something that we don't already have. And with the constant talk about getting rid of stages like Lylat, then it would be nice to have a new stage that we could use in tournaments. So that would be great. But we could also have new DLC, or excuse me, new content in the form of stages, like just completely new for the Switch. And hopefully some of those stages will be tournament viable, and we can only wait and find out. But that's also a definite possibility. And then there could also be the possibility of new modes. A lot of people were disappointed when Smash for Wii U and 3DS came out that there was no like real single player mode that was equivalent to the Subspace Emissary from Brawl, which I think like pretty much everyone I've ever heard talk about it says they loved it. And a lot of these people are people who say they hate Brawl, but they loved Subspace. And I think we can all agree it was really, really great single player experience, and probably the best way to pull off a single player experience in a game like Smash. A game that's really, really shines where it's a multiplayer game. To be able to pull off such like an immersive single player experience, I thought was really enjoyable. And just like a cool way that they involved all the characters as well. So something like that, any kind of new single player experience for Smash for Switch is possible. As for my prediction, I'm kind of 50-50. I'm kind of unsure. But it's definitely something that could happen, and I would definitely love it if it did. Other possibilities are like bringing Smash Run from the 3DS to the Smash for Switch, which is pretty cool because we didn't have Smash Run on the Wii U version. And that could happen. I mean, I don't personally care too much about Smash Run, so I don't have too strong of a prediction as to whether it would happen or not. I think it's somewhat likely, considering the concept of Smash for Switch being like a combination of all the best content from the Wii U and the 3DS version of the game. I think that's a perspective that Sakurai and or Nintendo like has for the game, and it's quite possible that that'll happen, but not too sure whether or not. I'd be like 60-40 in favor of Smash Run happening, but not. I mean, not in like my my desire, but like my prediction. I think it's slightly likely that it'll happen, but can't be too sure. But then that brings us to the next point. What about patches? And this is the part where stuff gets really important for the competitive community. If you're a casual player, patches kind of don't matter, more or less. You know, like if you're a casual player and you believe and patches like legitimately matter to you, maybe you're just actually a competitive player, because like casual play, you know what I mean. What I do expect, like for one thing, anything can happen with patches, and it's very scary because although the team behind the patching, whoever does it, I don't know, they've proven that they've shown some attention to tournaments by like nerfing Diddy Kong when Zero was winning all the time with him, and Sheik as well, they did. But they've also proven to do things that have seemingly no basis in logic in terms of how they affect the competitive meta, like nerfing DDD and other changes as well that just don't really make sense have occurred. So, yeah, we don't know what to expect. My personal prediction, at least, is that Bayo and Cloud will be nerfed. To what degree, I'm unsure. But the reason I think they'll be nerfed, not just because they're, you know, quote-unquote broken, or they're regarded by many as the top two characters in the game, but I believe that Bayo and Cloud, this is a theory of mine, were intentionally made to be, like, really, really good when they were first released, like, intentionally broken so that people would buy them. And you could say, oh, but then why was, you know, Mewtwo or these other characters, Roy, blah, 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 not so broken when they were released? Well, I think it took the team a while to figure out what actually made a character broken, but by the time they got to Cloud and Bayonetta, they actually understood how to make a character really, really good in terms of competitive viability, and they pulled that off whether they wanted to or not. And I think another reason I think that they intentionally made them broken upon release is, if you recall, Cloud and Bayonetta were nerfed. They were much, well, maybe not much, but they were even better when they were first released. And they were nerfed, you know, shortly after release. So I think that nerf was like, okay, now people have bought them. Now we can go back to the game being a little fair. But they still didn't nerf them really that much. Like, you can argue as to whether or not they should be nerfed more. But I think a slight nerf to at least Bayonetta would be very healthy for the metagame. Not that it's necessary. The character's certainly beatable, but I think it would be healthy. Make the game more balanced overall. And you could say the same for Cloud. I have more of a problem with Bayonetta than Cloud, but they are both characters that can easily be very, very strong after a nerf. So between that, the results the characters have been getting, like Salem winning Evo with Bayonetta, and just the constant, like, you know, they're not deaf, and they're not, you know, ignorant, despite some things that may lead to it seeming that way at the patch team. They know that people hate these characters and hate what they can do sometimes. So I think it's very likely that we'll see at least a nerf to Cloud and Bayonetta. As for other patch changes, I really can't say. I really don't know. But that's what I think will happen in terms of that. All right, so the next topic starts some of what I really wanted to make this video about, is not just predictions, but the complications that this will have for the competitive community. So for those who don't know, I'm a tournament organizer myself. I host some local series, as if you follow this channel, you've probably seen them, between Poppin' Off, Smash Fortress, now Smash Academia, blah, blah, blah. I host tournaments and I play competitively, so I have a good understanding of how this kind of stuff will affect tournaments, both in and outside the game. So the first thing is whether or not the Wii U version of the game, and 3DS sort of, but 3DS doesn't really matter for tournaments, but will the Wii U version of the game follow all of the whatever changes and additions that Smash for Switch gets? So will the Wii U version also get new characters if Smash for Switch is released and it has new characters? Same goes for stages. This is extremely important because if the games both don't have, like, if Smash for Switch has more characters and the Wii U, or stages that are legal in the tournaments, and the Wii U version cannot get that content, then the Wii U version essentially becomes obsolete for tournaments. So as long as they get the same patch, you know, maybe still plenty of people will be able to play on the setup at a tournament, if they don't use the new characters, or well, the stage anyone can go to, which is even more problematic. But even so, there's always, you can't have a legitimate tournament setup that doesn't have every character and every stage that's legal for the tournament. It's an obsolete setup. So in the event that that does occur, either the characters and stages on the Switch version will have to be banned, which is terrible, frankly, and should not happen, or every tournament that runs the game will have to have Switches as their setups, which is kind of very impractical. Switch consoles right now are very expensive for whether it be the organizers or the venues purchasing the consoles. And as for local tournaments, you usually have a lot. Oftentimes you'll have players bring in consoles for use of the tournament, often in exchange for like a venue fee discount, which is what like I do at my tournaments. Smaller tournaments usually will do kind of things like this. And in that case, people are going to be less likely to want to bring in their Switches because it's a valuable console. And also something that some friends of mine have brought to my attention is that the Switch is kind of easy to steal, because if you just have that thing sitting in the dock, you can kind of just take it out and like pocket it and get out of there. And you don't need to grab the whole dock and unplug wires and everything. So there's not really theft like in the Smash community. That's not something you hear about like ever, frankly, but it's definitely a possibility. And it doesn't even have to be someone in the community. If someone hears about there's a tournament going on, there's these Switches, let me jack one, it's definitely a concern, especially as an organizer like myself, that there may need to be some like additional precautions. So forcing every setup to be a Switch, which essentially would happen if the Wii U version does not get whatever new legal tournament legal content that the Switch version gets. I don't remember how I started this sentence, but basically that's a bad thing. We don't want that. We want the Wii U version to get all the content, because forcing every setup to be a Switch is not good. But even if the Wii U does get everything, there are still complications that I'm going to get to. I'm going to take a drink of water now because I'm thirsty. Anyway, my prediction as to that, I do actually think that the Wii U version will get, and this is probably an unpopular prediction or opinion, whatever you want to say, I do think the Wii U version will get any new characters. I don't know about stages, but any new characters that come onto the Switch version, I do think the Wii U and maybe even 3DS version will be able to get those characters as some form of DLC. The reason I think this is because Sakurai made a huge point that he wanted all versions of this game to have the same character roster. He said stages were fine to be different, but he wanted them to have the same character roster. And of course, when he said that, he was referring to the 3DS and Wii U version of the game. But they likely had it in their mind that there was going to be a Switch version of this game in the future, and I believe that Sakurai would still want this to happen. That doesn't mean it will happen, but I think there is a good chance that if we get like a new character, on the Switch version, that it will become downloadable and playable on the Wii U version as well. Now, I understand I know what you're thinking. Oh, but then they wouldn't. That's poor marketing. That's poor business. Then they wouldn't be as likely to sell the Switch version to people who already had the Wii U version because they could just get it what they already had. Blah blah blah. This and that. I agree, but I still think that there's a good likelihood that they will do it, which is also good. Like if you are one of those people who doesn't want to buy a Switch and you have Smash for Wii U, that you can still get all the new content, whether it be through characters or whatnot. Or at least characters. Stages, I don't think they will do that with, which means even if they do that, like stages, if there's a new legal stage and they don't put it on the Wii U version and it's on the Switch version, then you still kind of have to use Switch setups at tournaments. So even if we get the characters on the Wii U, it may not matter. And I would say any balance patch would almost definitely go to the Wii U as well. Okay, so that brings us to another point, and one of the last points is controllers. So the first thing I guess we'll talk about is the GameCube controller. A lot of people, have been talking about if the Smash for Switch does come out, is it going to support the GameCube controller? And that's a huge deal, because even if this comes out, if it doesn't support GameCube controller, a lot of people are not going to want to play it, and a lot of people are not going to even buy it, perhaps. I mean, most people still will if they're like in the competitive community. Like I myself, I would very much dislike it if it didn't have a GameCube controller, and I don't know how much I would play it depending on all those other factors that I mentioned. But I would still get it. It's like I have to get it. Also, the Switch Pro controller is really nice. If I had to use anything besides a GameCube controller for Smash, it would be that. Of course, there is a topic about that I'm going to get to. As for the GameCube controller, creating GameCube controller support would definitely be a little bit poor for like sales, I guess, of the Switch Pro controller. But then again, they can just make new GameCube controllers again and have people buy that, so they'll still make money off of it, as well as adapters. As for like technical capabilities, both the Switch dock and the Switch handheld itself have USB ports that have been proven capable of functioning with controllers in one way or another. Like, I believe the third-party GameCube controller adapters for the Wii U actually function on some games with a GameCube controller on the Switch already. There's some videos about that you can look into. I don't remember too many of the details, but I'm pretty sure that's a thing. So like that already basically proves that like it's possible. Like they can make a new adapter. Just the point that those USB ports on the dock can work with a controller in some way. In fact, we already know they can because you can use the Switch Pro controller in wired mode where the inputs go through the wire rather than wirelessly. There's a setting for that came with a recent Switch update. And someone also found some adapter that lets you use like a PlayStation controller or something through the USB on the handheld itself. So that's actually really promising because that means that it's technically possible, like the hardware, to actually use a GameCube controller on the go with your Switch. And, to people who don't take it as seriously, that might seem kind of crazy, like having your Switch and then having this controller that's practically the size of the Switch with like a wire sticking out of it and everything. But I love the idea of that. Like I could just see myself doing that, just carrying it around and having a controller there. I would love that. So all I can say for the GameCube controller is that it's definitely possible. My prediction, again, it's only slightly in favor of the GameCube controller being a thing because Nintendo, they might just not want it to have it anymore, but they would be very unwise to do that because the GameCube controller is such a staple of the game, and I could see Smash being played in 10 years from now, different console, different game, if it is still with the GameCube controller. Like, it's just a perfect controller for Smash. Obviously, people have different opinions on that, but the most common opinion is that it just is the best controller for the game. So, and there's also another reason why it's likely that there will be GameCube controller support is, again, because of that talk about GameCube ports coming to the Switch. Like, I don't remember if it was confirmed or there's been a lot of talk about it from even people at Nintendo about there being GameCube games on the Virtual Console for the first time. Which is like, it's stupid that there haven't been already, considering I'm pretty sure on the Wii U, they're actually just Wii ports, like on the Virtual Console. Like Mario Galaxy, I think, was on the Virtual Console, like actual Wii games. So this GameCube games are before the Wii. So, why not? It should be easy to port them at this point. And, well, I guess but then they had the adapter on the Wii U. It doesn't make sense why they didn't do it on the Wii U, but yeah, and that also, there's like, I've heard ideas about like a GameCube style Joy-Con with like GameCube buttons, and there could be some kind of new GameCube controller made for the Switch. I don't know, but definitely a lot of possibilities. I think the future is bright for GameCube controller support, but can't be certain. And I guess my final point then, which is still dealing with controllers, is the Pro Controller. Now, here's the thing. Let's say everything that we want about Smash for Switch and Smash for Wii U happen. Let's say the Wii U gets everything new that the Switch has, and both consoles are acceptable setups at tournaments. So you can use a Wii U or a Switch. They all have the same content. You can play all of them with a GameCube controller. So that means a lot of tournaments will be using both of them for setups because, they might already have Wii U's and they might get Switches new and blah, blah, blah. Well, that means that if you're a Pro Controller player, you use the Pro Controller. Whether it be the Switch Pro Controller or the Wii U Pro Controller, if you go to a tournament that uses both of those consoles for the Smash setups, both the Wii U and the Switch, then that's an issue because that means you can't play on both on every setup in the tournament. You only can play on the setup that supports your controller, because the Switch does not support the Wii U Pro controller, and the Wii U does not support the Switch Pro controller, and that likely won't change. So that's the final issue. So that even in this best case scenario for everything involving this, you can still kind of get screwed if you play on the Pro controller, and this likely will mean that if this does happen, Pro controllers may be banned as a whole, because from a tournament organizer's perspective, it's very, very inefficient to have a situation where certain players just cannot play on every setup. Because what if the only setup open at the time when you want to call a match is a setup that that player can't play on because their controller doesn't, correspond with the setup, and that's slows down the tournament. And I think Pro controllers might even be banned already at major tournaments, but like I'm looking at like locals and regionals. That's an issue, and that's certainly something that you don't want to have happen. So Pro controllers might just get banned. And yeah, I believe that's my final point. As for the predictions, hopefully tomorrow we will hear about Smash, but I don't think that's going to happen. But these predictions will stand until we do start to hear about Smash for Switch, which will happen. It's going to happen, guys. Trust me. Yell at me if it doesn't, because I'll be yelling at myself. But I'm not talking about tomorrow. I mean, happening ever. And yeah, thanks. If you enjoyed this video, you can subscribe to us here at Game 5 Smash. Would be greatly appreciated. I'm also planning on making a video as to why there haven't been too many videos up on this channel. There are a couple reasons for it. One of the reasons, though, is just that I don't have too many ideas for videos that haven't already been made by other content creators, and that's something that I could, do a good job of. So if you guys do want, if you have some ideas that you think would be good for this channel, you can go ahead and tweet them to us at Game5Smash on Twitter. I'll be happy to read them and hopefully maybe take you up on some of your ideas and make some content of that. But otherwise than that, thanks for sticking around for this long video, and have a good one. Cosmos out.